Hey friends, thanks for taking some time out tonight to join me for Teen Talk Tuesday. But I guess if you're watching on YouTube, it's probably not Tuesday night. That's okay. Whenever this is, thank you for spending a few minutes to learn about how to hopefully be a better person, do better at business, or whatever it is that you are trying to improve. My name is Catherine Gibson. I'm a superstar director. I've been with Sensi for over 11 years now. I have done pretty much everything the wrong way at some point. And so I like sharing my mistakes and what I've learned from them. So hopefully that can help fast track you on your path to your goals. So the ideas that I'm going to share tonight or today are taken from notes that I made to share with the leaders of the company 2 years ago. It was right at the beginning of March 2020 when everything went crazy, right as the pandemic was getting going. I was invited to speak on the Monday leader call to directors, star directors, and superstar directors. And my topic that I was asked to share on was, what things do I do to prioritize myself or self-care? Which is kind of an interesting topic because sometimes we feel like it, as we have a business, we have to be on all the time, or we have teams and we want to be helpful. And sometimes we prioritize helping other people over ourselves, and that can be detrimental, to say the least. So it was a really big question. I had to give it a lot of thought. Like everyone, I have a lot of responsibilities. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a reluctant dog mom. It doesn't take too much of my time, but still it adds to my stress. We're involved in our church, we're involved in our community, and obviously my Sensi business at this point is my full-time only gig. If you know me personally, you might also know that I am a very sensitive or empathetic person. So I tend to take on whatever's going on around me, take it in and internalize it and make it mine, even if it's not actually my problem. And I learned that if I didn't make self-care a priority, if I didn't put that first, then I'm a complete wreck and therefore of no use at all to my family, friends, team, or customers, anyone really. So there were a couple of simple things that I learned and implemented. Specifically, I want to say in the year 2019. At that point, I had been a star director for 5 years, was feeling a little bit stuck, discouraged. I had come really close to superstar director multiple times, and it was kind of frustrating. I attended Sensi Star Director Summit Approach at Sensi Home Office that spring, and was encouraged while struggling with feelings of not being there yet, not being enough. I was encouraged to just hang on and become the best human that I could be and the best star director that I could be. So when I went home, I decided that I could only focus on what I could control, what I could do. So I've got 2 numbered things here, numbered points. These notes are from 2 years ago, so I'm going to try my best to make sense of them today. And hopefully they will help you a little bit. So the first thing that I implemented, and I was actually really, if you want to say religious, I was really consistent with it. Specifically starting in the summer of 2019, I was on a mission. So it wasn't so much what I was going to do, but the order that I decided to do things in. We are trained by our devices, right, to jump every time a notification dings. So I started turning off all my notifications except for text messages and phone calls. And update to that, these days, my phone is in do not disturb 99% of the time. The people who need to get a hold of me are set so that I will get their messages right away. Otherwise, I address messages when it's good for me, when I can, and when I am in the right mindset, when I have the right time. Not seeing the notifications on my screen or hearing the ding that causes my anxiety to rise immediately helps so much. So it's not that I'm ignoring people or that I'm completely out of touch with people, but I've taken back the power of choosing when I give my attention to things that are not necessarily as urgent as the noise makes them seem. There was a really great quote, and I still love it. It is by Viktor Frankl. And the quote says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So probably, hopefully everyone can relate. And I'm not the only one who has responded or reacted very quickly or too quickly, maybe reacted in a less than great way. Because it was a reaction. It was like a knee jerk when I heard a ding and I shot off a quick reply to someone. Happened more times than I can count. But by creating space between the stimulus or the message or the request or whatever the case might be, and when I respond, that's where I get my power. That's where you get your power and your freedom. And by setting those kind of boundaries, you're teaching people what to expect and how to treat you and what's acceptable. So I learned to stop reacting and start leaving space for time before responding. The second thing that I started doing really consistently in 2019 was this. It's a really simple morning routine. I did not make it up, but I heard someone else talk about it and I thought, that's fantastic. So I believe, if you know me, I believe that we all have, that we were made with a spiritual need. And that when we ignore or neglect that need, our values and our peace feel threatened. We all live in a state of high adrenaline when our values feel threatened, and that's exhausting, right? So I would start every single day as soon as I woke up, as soon as my eyes opened, or even I wouldn't open my eyes, I would start with a prayer and read a scripture. It was not a long process, but that was the most important thing to start my day. And so I would do that first. Then I had a little journal, just a little notebook from the dollar store, a notebook from a Sensi event, doesn't matter, piece of paper. Writing it physically, I think, is important. I did not write a lot. I'm not like a poem writer or a big journaler saying everything that happened every day, but I would write at least one very specific small thing that I was grateful for in the last 24 hours. Like the fact that my son told me a knock knock joke, or that my big now teenage son would call me mommy, or something sweet that made me happy in the last 24 hours. And then I would write my huge, impossible dreams and goals as if they were already a reality. For example, if I had my notebook here right now from 2019, it would start off saying things like, I am an SSD. I wasn't yet. I am a top 150 trip earner. I have 100 frontline. I have this many downline. I make X number of dollars a month. Whatever. Reminding myself of those things at the very beginning of the day helped me to focus on what I was working towards. And it helped me really to choose where my attention would go that day. It was prepping my mind for the day. It's not to say that I spent, every other hour of the day chasing business goals or having host or join conversations. But when there was a question of, should I spend time on this? I could ask myself, would a superstar director do that? Would a top 150 trip earner do that? Will that help me get to having 100 frontline teammates? Um, and when you're so clear on where you're going and what's important, it becomes really easy to say no to things that are going to be time wasters or distractions. So again, turning off the notifications just removed a lot of there was a story around this talk on a specific call. We were talking about taking care of your feet. And so I have it written down here that I love walking and I'm a fast walker. And that means I get blisters from my socks rubbing on my ankles. And I learned that intentionally taking care of myself or my feet would set me up for success. So by turning off the notifications on my phone was like removing unnecessary friction. Maybe it was like one of those little band-aids you'd put on a sore spot. By focusing on my needs first, that was like stretching and massaging my feet. And by journaling my gratitude and my goals and my focus, it was like putting on really good socks and good quality shoes and getting pointed in the right direction. I was setting myself up for success. I also started getting really intentional about taking care of my physical well-being. I didn't start, I've always been a bath girl, but I would take a hot bath. I would make sure to schedule a pedicure or a massage because I have benefits that cover it. The massage, not the pedicure, but I would budget for that out of my Sensi pay, or just to take a nap when I was feeling overwhelmed. Naps don't happen so much anymore, but that's okay. And I was intentional with my time by scheduling posts in my group page for if I was going to be doing something else. Being able to choose to do things like that made me feel like I was in control, even in a really small thing. Earning promotions in your Sensi business hinge on a lot of moving parts, and you don't have direct control over all of them. So by taking control back in the small areas, really helps get your mind right and helps you feel less anxious and like it's not such a big emergency. So yeah, it helps me feel like I'm in control, which yes, sounds like I have control issues. I've got them down here. So another thing that I started doing was not just self-care, not just me, but relationship care. My husband and I have been married for almost 19 years now. We make date nights happen. At that point, it was at least once a month. But now, since we get takeout, we have one night every single week that's date night that we get takeout. The kids have their own dinner. They leave us alone. And we just make that time to hang out and to connect. We make time for family stuff, family activities with the kids individually, so on and so forth, just to show them how important they are, that we schedule time to be with them on top of the daily, drives to school and meal times and things like that. Making special time for them shows them that I really love and value them, and reminds me and them that the whole reason I started this business was for them. And they're more understanding than when I need to do this on Tuesday nights or go away for a Sensi event. Hopefully we get to do that again soon. So it just, by prioritizing the relationships that are important in my life, helped everything to run more smoothly. So scrolling on down the notes here. So what impact all of these things that basically just sound like taking half decent care of yourself. Actually, I will also say in 2019, I got really consistent with tracking my activity, like walking, not any crazy workouts at all, but I would take a walk almost every single day. And that activity helped my mental health, but it also, the tracking is just, it makes you feel good. We talked last month about habit tracking and habit stacking. And it gets to the point where if you don't go for a walk, if you don't close your rings one day, you feel kind of bad. So you're taking better care of yourself, because it's gamified when you track things, and what you track, you focus on, and what you focus on grows. So I tracked things to do with my health. I tracked my eating. I tracked my water intake, and I was healthier physically and mentally. So I was in a better place to work my business, to work with my team and my group, to promote a whole bunch of directors. So as mentioned before, I attended Star Director Summit Approach that spring. And my two big takeaways were, I already said, focus on what you can control. The other one was give yourself credit. No matter where you are, even if you are a brand new consultant who joined today, like stop for a minute and recognize what a big deal that is. Maybe you are an essential consultant and you just got your first order, or you're a certified consultant, you just got your first promotion, or you're a lead and you're starting to build a team. Wherever you are, you have accomplished something, even if that something is just clicking join and getting your starter kit. Give yourself some credit for that and celebrate that. And then focus on what you can control, focus on what the next step is, and do what you can do to move towards it. It is one of the hardest lessons to learn, and I still struggle with it. Giving yourself credit or celebrating yourself. It's really hard sometimes when it feels like you're surrounded by noise of what everyone else is doing or accomplishing. No matter what you've accomplished, someone else has done something even bigger, right? So we need to learn to turn out the noise, similar to turning off the notifications. Sometimes that might mean unfollowing things that make you feel less or make you feel icky. That's okay. The only one that you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. Sensi makes this really easy with a special report. I can't show it to you because it has all my personal information on it, but I will list how to get there. Go in your workstation, go to reporting, sales reports, business analysis report. This is a huge report. You're going to want to look at it on a computer, but it shows all of your statistics every month, every year. So you can literally track your growth. And you can say, for example, January, I felt like it had a slow start. A lot of people said it to me. I felt it myself. I was able to look back though and see what we did last January. And by the end of the month, we almost were level with last year. And I'm okay with that because last year we were in hyper growth, this year, not as much. So compare yourself with yourself at the same point last year. Again, if you're a brand new consultant, you're already winning just by being here. If you've been in a year, look at what you did a year ago. Look at how much PRV you got last February, or whatever month it is right now. Look at how many recruits you got. How many active frontline did you have? Did you hit paid at title? Did you promote? And see what you can do to meet that and do a little better. Okay, maybe you meet your PRV plus a 6-pack. That's great. That's progress, and you are winning, and you should celebrate that. So if you know me, you know I have already solid routine in place as far as following up, sales, recruiting, training. We've been doing this on Tuesday nights for 5-6 years now. So what I was lacking wasn't business routines, but it was better routines around my own well-being. I felt like I was doing all the right things. I was, but me personally was suffering by just the feelings, really, the feelings of stress from the notification, of taking on everyone's stuff and making it my own and letting it affect me and feel rotten. So I learned to focus on what I can control. I had to let go of the fact that I had frontline who just weren't living up to their potential. I had to let go of the new recruits who just didn't want to work. And there is just so much power in focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't. Acknowledge those things, write them down if you have to, and then let them go. Some days, you guys know these days, we all have days like this. Some days, all you have control over is the very first thing you do, because then there's appointments and things come up and you get interrupted, and then the dog is sick or the kid, you have to pick up a kid or whatever. So by controlling what I do first, I control how I feel. I feel like I am in control of my day when I get up and make my bed, when I get up and move my body, when I get up and make sure I close my rings, or I eat well, or I drink all my water. Um, I can control how much time I make for my family and making them my priority. I can control that I don't respond to team messages on Sundays or after 9 p.m. at night. It's just not reasonable. And it also means that if I'm having a bad day, because we all do, I can step back a little bit. I can distance myself from social media so people don't have to see that I'm having a bad day. And I can focus on things other than sense, and focus on things that will fill my cup back up, that will refresh and restore me. So again, just reflecting back to 2019, by starting these small things and doing them first, doing the journaling, tracking my physical activity, how much water I was drinking, what I was eating, I got healthier. And that helped me to deal with stress better. And learning how to really just add that space between the stimulus and response is where we gain our power. So I gave myself more space, and I really grew that year. And I hope that some of these ideas help you, or are something that you can implement in your business. I don't know if right now you're feeling stuck or exhausted or whatever the case may be, but I know that we all feel that way sometimes. Maybe it's often. But this has been a good reminder, even for me. So thanks for listening, because there are things that I was doing really consistently back then that I've gotten away from. So I'm definitely going to go back to them. And just for reference, those goals that I wrote down as if they were accomplished, I'm an SSD, that happened that year. I'm a top 150 trip earner, that happened that year. So there is power on really backing up and focusing only on what's important and only on what you can control. And that will inform your decisions about every other thing that you do. So thanks again for your time. I hope this was useful, and I hope that you have a fantastic night, and I will see you next week.